Here it is. Cool. All right. Welcome, ladies
Alrighty.
and gentlemen, to Financial Tangent Podcast. Welcome. My name is Rich, and with me is Ben and Chloe. Chloe's my daughter, and Ben is a longtime family friend. So welcome, everybody. This is
Great
episode
Thank you.
to be here.
2.
We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. We're going to talk about budgeting, which I'm doing a bad job of. My wife and I are doing a bad job of, but I think you guys being right out of college and stuff, and things being, naturally a little tighter, I think you guys have been forced to budget. A lot of my budgeting's been in the rear view mirror as I sort of track what was spent in the rear view mirror and kind of try to categorize that. But how about you guys as recent college grads and new jobs and everything, new apartments and everything? What's been your experience budgeting?
Yeah,
Well,
definitely. I think. Oh, go ahead, Chloe. We're
no,
we're all
you
we're
you had
still
that.
relatively new at all this, so we're
Yeah. I guess what I was gonna say was, I guess every month, whether that be the end of the month or the beginning of the month, I just sit down for maybe 5-10 minutes, kind of think about anything upcoming an upcoming expense that's not what do you call it, fixed. So, for example, this month I got my wisdom teeth taken out, so that was $300 that I had to budget for. So maybe that meant, okay, I don't go out to eat this month because I want to put more in savings, and I know I'm going to have more expenses. And last month I had an unexpected car expense, so I had to um, kind of shift gears and move some things around to get my budget to work. And so it's an ongoing thing. I sit down every month, and then throughout the month sometimes things change too. So that's kind of my process.
How about you,
and I
man?
really like Chloe when you said you really it's like a 5 minute a week thing. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it is it doesn't have to be like 20, 30 minutes, an hour, like some people make it to be, right? Um, I do the same thing. Although I kind of do it maybe once every 3 to 4 days. I kind of look at my budget based on how financially active I am at the time. So sometimes maybe I'll look at it more frequently if I'm you know doing more or less if I'm if I know that I haven't spent. But yeah, I do the same thing. I use and we could probably do a whole episode on these, but I actually used to use Intuit Mint, and then now I use Rocket Money,
Gotcha.
and there are a ton of other financial budgeting tools out there. And so I look at mine because I think for me, I think looking at the numbers of this is how much money you've spent this week or this month, depending on how you look at it, helps me for sure, either cumulatively or by category. And just like you had said, Chloe, you know, I think that realizing what are recurring expenses, but what are also one-time expenses is also something to keep in mind too. I kind of naturally had, like this last month, I kind of naturally had, I had a few routine expenses all kind of happen at the same time, but then I also had some unforeseen, just living expenses of living,
Yeah.
kind of pop up about, hey, I just recently moved into a place, so now I need to go to the store and pick up all these odds and ends, and oh, by the way, this is how much that's going to cost you, as well. So, but what I like about the categorization is I can see, okay, here's my oil change for my car. Here's my car registration renewal for the year. Oh, by the way, and then also on top of all that, this is how much I normally spend on fuel, and insurance and whatnot. And then I can put that all together, as a number. And it's pretty amazing, understanding that, because it's just so easy if you get in conversations with friends or just family or just people around you that, it's like, oh, well, this is my car payment and that's my car payment. It's like, naturally, um, you forget about stuff like that. So I like what you had said about how you kind of just break it apart of, this is what is routine and this is what is, kind of a one-off, for the month kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that too is, so I use the EveryDollar app, and it will automatically take everything that you had set up last month, and it's the same thing for the next month. So really, like, unless you have an unexpected or an expected expense pop up that month, it really doesn't take that long. I think it will probably, if you've never budgeted before, it will probably take maybe closer to an hour or two just to get everything set up. But once it's set up, it's really just like a quick 5 minute, okay, what do I have going on this month? Next thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So to set up your categories, Chloe, in EveryDollar, so you're
Mhm.
saying before the month starts,
Yeah.
and then all you have to do is tweak that, right? Let's say if you have a
Yeah.
month that you're knowing that,
Mhm.
let's say your auto renewal insurances or your auto renewal fees are gonna
Mhm.
come this month, you can make your
Yep.
auto expenses a little higher. Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, the income, everything like stays the same. All of your expenses from last month stay the same. Um, or scheduled expenses stay the same, and then you can tweak it however you want.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
Is Rocket
Yeah.
Money the same way, Ben?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And what I really like about Rocket Money is it'll tell me, like, I can kind of, it's not perfect, but it is pretty good. I can put like my recurring expenses in there. So so I choose to have certain services in my life, and so I can see where and when those service charges are going to hit. So, be it, at least, here in the winter time, we have salt all over our roads all the time. Right. So I choose to get a car wash subscription in the winter time. So I can see when that's going to hit. And then I can also see when, just all these other things in my life that are going to hit, like my cell phone bill or, like my insurance, or just all those other things. And so it'll tell me, hey, in 3 days here's this expense, hey, in 6 days here's this expense, in 14 days here's this expense, and it will kind of calendar those for you, so you can kind of see based on how you're doing kind of as time goes on, which I think is cool. And I'm sure EveryDollar probably has a competing feature to that. I wouldn't be
I think it
surprised.
does, but I think you have to pay for it. So I just
Yeah,
have the version, but the premium, I think it's like $9.99 a month or something, but
I
I'm too cheap
gotcha.
to pay for that. So
Well, it would be ironic, right? Like you're paying money for a service to help you manage your money. So the
for
same for
some
me. I
people
mean,
though, it might be really helpful.
true,
Like I know
very
also
true.
um
I'm just being a
with the
jerk.
premium version is like if you pay for something with your debit card, it tracks your bank account, and then you can automatically just like the notification will pop up on your phone, and you can like um, click on whatever expense you just paid for, so then you don't have to do it manually. Like I just do it. I look at my expenses every couple weeks, and I just like keep track of my spending that way. So it's a
Nice.
convenience thing too, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of interesting because the Rocket Mortgage lets you decide how they say, tell us how much you value, um, budgeting or anything like that. And it literally lets you decide how much money you want to pay them. It's really weird.
Oh,
It tells you how much most people, it says most people typically do this. Some people do that, but if it's free, like mine is the free version, it limits like
yeah.
how many budgets you can have. And then it limits the refresh rate of how it connects to your bank and all your accounts and all that other kind of stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of ironic because I'm on the free one, and so like I guess according to Rocket Money's, you know, outlook on it, they probably think I don't value personal finance, but I do, you know what I mean? But it's
No,
like we're all
You're
we're
we're all
not
just
getting
voting with your
started, you know what I
dollars.
mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Right. So but um I it definitely gives me a sense of security that I kind of have a gauge on what's going on, that I can literally just right out of my pocket, grab my phone. Because who knows, you might be at Costco or Sam's Club, or just your local grocery store, um, and you might see a sale for something that is something that you use every day, that is a need, but does it make sense for you to go to that store and spend a lot on a big quantity of stuff, and then you sit on the stuff for a little bit, but you also need it. So
Yeah.
or impulse buys, it certainly helps with impulse buys as well.
Yeah. So what other, I guess, when you budget, what other benefits do you see other than, um, like you said, like impulse buying and stuff?
Yeah. Um, you know, you my parents have said, stay disciplined, but it's also okay to treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of need to, for that positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
But treat yourself in a smart way. Think about what is reasonable and what isn't reasonable. Um, and so I think too, having the feature to watch your spending and all that, and trying to treat yourself by looking at it and listening to it and
Mm-hmm.
using it and saying, well, where do I have extra room in my
Mm-hmm.
grocery budget? Do I want to buy myself maybe like
Yeah.
I don't normally, I'll just use for example, like maybe you have a favorite food that is a little more expensive, but you don't always eat. Um, and so it's like maybe you treat yourself for that, since you are
Mm-hmm.
within your budget for groceries. Or maybe you really want to um, you know take a road trip somewhere, and you are under budget for your like auto category for the month or for the week or whatever, so you take a little road trip, but a
Mm-hmm.
sightseeing trip. Or even, depending on this, right? Depending on any budget, any size,
Yeah.
any sort of treat, right? So it's like, if you have a travel budget, then you take a travel trip, somewhere. Um, you know, did I just say travel trip? A trip,
No,
somewhere. Um, yeah, you know what I mean? So, but looking at where you fall, in your budgeting, and what you can do to treat yourself without going over budget, because
Yeah.
treating yourself and going over budget while treating yourself just totally defeats the purpose. But
Right. Like
but
having a category to for fun, but not going over that. Like being
right,
disciplined enough
exactly,
to not spend over what you have slotted and allotted yourself to buy.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nice. Okay.
Rich, I think you're doing something pretty cool with your financial budgeting tool. I hear.
I totally
You know,
geeked out. Yeah,
I love it. I
or
love it, man. You've probably got the best one.
so
You've got
I'll take our expenses and I'll download them to a spreadsheet, from our bank, and then I'll add a column for category, and I'll categorize each of the expenses, auto, gas, restaurant, grocery, clothing, all that good stuff. And then I'll take that and I wrote an Excel macro that goes to each line and inserts a row into a SQL table and on an Azure database that I have. And if I'm losing people on this, that's okay. You don't have to get this complicated. You can do this all with pencil and paper. Anyway, I'll upload it to an
I
Azure
stayed with you
database.
through. Yeah.
And then I have a Power BI report that I wrote that takes each of the takes all the data and visualizes it into a nice chart graph of each category, what our spend is and everything. So I enjoy it. It's fun programming, but it's certainly overkill. So
Well, I stayed with you through all the talk on Power BI and Excel, and I'd love to learn a little bit more of the other stuff.
yeah, when we get a website up
The
and running,
SQL and
we're gonna have some.
sure.
We'll put
Yeah,
stuff out there, absolutely.
yeah,
So
I like it. But I mean, I'd like to hear from those listening, what you guys are using. I know Intuit Mint just totally announced that they are merging with Credit Karma later in this calendar year, I think. So we're in March of 2023 right now, or I'm sorry, 2024 right now. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So what tools are people listening to this? What are you guys using? Depending on where this is posted, be it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify podcasts. What are you guys using? Let us know. We would love to hear, because we can certainly jump into maybe some comparisons in the future, or answer any questions, or try to understand those tools too. There's a million of them out there, and it's pretty sweet to kind of learn about what works for everybody and how everybody does their thing. I mean, all three of us have our own tools that we use, be it I'm going to call Rich the Microsoft king over there, right? With his both his Excel and Azure and SQL with Power BI, and then Chloe with EveryDollar, and then myself with Rocket Money. Previously, I used to use Mint actually before Rocket Money, but yeah, or is anybody doing it on pen and paper? I mean, that's pretty cool too.
and I want to reiterate, you don't have to get fancy, right? You could just keep it simple with pen and paper,
right?
And down,
right.
Absolutely. So
yeah,
it does not have to be.
Yeah.
And really,
I still ask for receipts. Like I get paper receipts, and I shove them in my wallet, and when my wallet gets to a point where I can't fit all the receipts in there again, and that rarely ever happens. If you know me, that rarely ever happens. But then I kind of start doing the whole reconciliation process. I don't know. Do you guys ask for receipts where you shop and stuff?
I always get a receipt. That way you have proof that you paid for the item, so even if it's something small, you're paying,
exactly.
If I usually get a receipt, but if I don't, while I'm standing there or while I'm sitting in my car, if I remember what I paid, I'll just immediately plug it into the app, and then I don't have to worry about it later on. But while we were talking, another idea came to my mind. Another budgeting method that I think is kind of new is cash stuffing. I don't know if you've heard of that, where people take envelopes and like maybe they've budgeted, I don't know, $200 a month if you're single for groceries, and then once you get the money in your bank account, you just go and cash it out, the $200, put it in an envelope, and then you physically have it in your hand of like, this is what I can spend for the entire month. And you can do that with other categories as well. And I think that's really nice for people who are like visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And it hurts more, right? You're paying cash. It hurts more.
Exactly.
You have that connection with, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
backing up a little bit too, let's kind of reiterate too, what's the purpose of budgeting every month? Anybody want to tackle
that? I can take a leap. I believe the purpose is to keep you on your financial path, be it,
Mhm.
be it, in whatever that might be in your life, right? So if you have debts to pay, it will keep you paying your debts. If you have things to save for, it will keep you, saving for things, whatever it is, right? Events and, needs and basic necessities, right? But also, yeah, and it'll also allow you to afford your wants too. And so I think I like to think about things in that order because I think it's super important, right? To, um, be responsible for any debts that you have, and obviously do your due diligence to manage them and pay them, and if you can get yourself debt free, that's very like awesome.
Mhm.
We could do a whole episode on that, but I
Yeah.
also think
Oh, we will.
exactly, and I also think doing your needs first and then your wants is obviously
Right,
important.
absolutely.
Um,
Rent,
but yeah,
utilities.
so that's kind of what I think the purpose of budgeting is really, because it's not the budget itself is not your destination, but it's kind of like it's your vehicle to the destination. It's your
Mhm.
it's your tool. It's a means to an end. That's what I think. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like that. And I think to add to that too, I totally agree with you. It's to help you stay on track with your money goals. And I think in a way that also allows you, like, for me personally, I guess I'm naturally an anxious person. So if I know exactly, okay, this is the plan that I have, it just
Yep.
eliminates another layer of unknown and anxiety. And I feel like I have a little bit more mental clarity when it comes to just that portion of my life. So it helps in that way for me.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chloe. All the uncertainty in this world, it's good. It's nice to
Yeah,
have.
like I have a plan and this is what we're doing, and I give every single dollar a job. And there's no
I like it.
uncertainty as like, well, how much I don't know how much I spent on groceries this week because now I have a budget and
Right.
I
Absolutely.
know
Right.
what is on track for
Right.
myself and what's not on track. So
For sure.
We
For
should
sure.
do a whole episode on every single dollar gets a job. We could,
That'd be cool.
yeah, we'll
That'd
add
be
that
cool.
list. Well, we're
What
short on
for
time here,
those
guys. Did we, you guys want to wrap this up? And
Yeah, I was just gonna ask too before we wrap up, for
sure.
those listening, let us know what topics you're interested
ooh,
in the most. We can for sure kind of adjust kind of our thinking to those. And we want to hear from our listeners and viewers as well. So keep us posted. But yeah, I kind of think that's an awesome start for the topic today. And kind of maybe we'll leave you guys with a statistic Chloe had researched. 65% of Americans don't know where their money goes each month. So just by listening to this podcast, you are joining that 35% that do know, and you're automatically ahead of 65% of Americans just by listening today. So kudos to our listeners for listening, and play around with, download some of these apps, or make a spreadsheet, play around with it, because what do you have to lose?
Absolutely.
Nothing. So
yeah.
Well, thanks, you guys.
Do we want to wrap up with advice?
Absolutely.
Okay.
yeah.
I guess I can start. Dave Ramsey has always said on his show to give yourself about 3 months to learn how to budget, because the first time you do it, you're always going to forget something. And then maybe you go over budget one time, and then the next month it gets easier. And then by the third month, you've got it down. So if you're new to budgeting, just give it 3 months.
I like it.
Good.
I like it. My advice would be, you know, kind of what I had mentioned a few seconds ago. Jump right in. What's wrong with waiting? Why wait? You know, a lot of those apps are free. You can set them up in a snap. You know, it's something that will help you. So it's, you know, why wait? You know what I mean? Jump right in, do your thing. And I don't know if Rich has anything. I'd love to hear what your advice and recommendation would be.
I promise I'll do a better job of budgeting. That's my advice. So no,
Well, and I think that's a great point, right? Like here we are, we're talking about it, but we're human beings too. You know what I mean? We're you know we're all you know doing our own thing, and sometimes life gets crazy. So you know it's also I think important to accept that too.
right, definitely. So I think traditionally though, loosely, my budgeting has always been, we've always had goals in mind. We're going to set X amount of our income is going to retirement. X amount of our income was to pay extra on the house. X amount of our income was going to save for the kids' college. And then anything above and beyond that, you know, or, you know, X amount gets saved. Anything above and beyond that gets spent, right? And, you know, that was a lot of years. That was a lot of, you know, really our budgeting and stuff. And, so, but I think really in hindsight and going forward, I get a little bit more clarity on that loose bucket, the big bucket of what gets spent. How can that be better, you know, categorized, refined, and planned, really? So,
Definitely, definitely. Well, very cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
thanks, you
I
guys.
think we'll wrap up. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
hey, take care.